Galaviz. You are the mind behind Gilbert's soul. This is going to be Gilbert's soul first interview. So I'd like to ask, you've gone under a lot of different names. You've had nonfiction, you've had Dub G. So Gilbert's soul, with all the experiences you've had, now you've come to this. What does that mean?
So what is Gilbert's soul compared to nonfiction and Dub G? Is what you mean?
Yes.
Okay. I guess it's the evolved version from my mediocre stage, where I wasn't really implementing enough seriousness to my craft. I was serious about it, but I wasn't really putting the work into it as professionally as I wanted to, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So you would say that they represent stages of your own professionalism?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Dub G was me figuring out the whole music thing, because I knew that I wanted to do music. I always wanted to create things and sounds and stuff like that. So Dub G came out because Gilberto, Galaviz, GG. So the simplest thing that I came up with was double G, but my brother-in-law, Hugo the Boss, well, formerly known as Hugo the Boss, now it's just Hugo. Shout out to my brother-in-law. He actually recommended for me to cut off double and just put DUB, Dub G. So it came about that way.
Okay. And then nonfiction?
Nonfiction. Funny story about that. We had gone to a studio with an artist that Hugo knows of, and I was maybe around 17 years old. And so we got there and we're recording. I'm writing my verse or whatnot, and we're recording. Everything's going good. And then at some point, the artist is like, "You should really change your name." So I got really offended, because it's like it's your artist name, like it's your
alias, it's your personality.
Right. So it's what you're going by. Like, now you're telling me that I need to change my name. What's wrong with my name? So I was in that level of mentality, that I couldn't really take any criticism or ideas, suggestions. Still the same way. No, I'm joking. He's like, yeah, you should change your name, because it sounds like, I don't know, like you sound like you could be something else, right? He was basically just trying to tell me, like, hey, you should change your name, and I should have listened then, but I didn't. However, it did trigger something in my mind where I was like, you know what, he was right. I should change my name. So one night it was New Year's. I can't remember what year exactly, but my brother-in-law and I were going to have a video recorded. I was going to be the person behind the video, and we would have other people like holding the camera when we were both inside the same frame. Anyhow, so I had a thesaurus with me, and I always told my brother-in-law that whenever I make music, I try to focus on it being as real as it can be. Like, I don't want to say things that really don't matter or that really have no signification to my life whatsoever. I don't really want to put out stuff that's not going to be, what's the word, like, that's going to really hit home to other people,
You want to be relatable.
Relatable, there you go, that's the word. Duh. So I wanted to be as relatable as possible, so I came up with like real. I was like, okay, real, what's another word for real? And started looking at the thesaurus. I bought it at the dollar store, by the way. So if anybody ever wants to go buy a thesaurus or a dictionary, know that it's available at the dollar store for $1.99, probably $2 now, because prices are going up. But so I got the thesaurus, looked through, and nonfiction came out. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. But I was like, how can I make this like weird, where it's not the actual word spelled out or whatnot? I was like, I guess I can put FIX, like nonfiction. So I had that name, and I really liked that name a lot until I had to change it. So that's a story for another day.
Okay.
Maybe today, if people are lucky enough to stay tuned.
Well,
Commercial.
That comes to Gilbert's soul.
Yeah.
So with Gilbert's soul, his first album, what's the progression like going from nonfiction to Gilbert's soul and his first album from Gilbert's soul's first album to his second album? Because that's one jump from, like you were saying, this was stages in your life that you felt you were approaching it as a different level of professionalism. So
Right.
you have that stage from nonfiction to Gilbert's soul, and what's the change in professionalism there? What's the change in who you were there versus Gilbert's soul is now, this is the current level of professionalism we get from you, from your first album to your second album?
I think that what's different about it is that it's now more personal. It's not so much that I'm trying to focus on the realism of things. I'm still trying to keep it as real as I can, but um, I'm more focused on what I can deliver as far as my personal experiences, and if it's relatable or not, I just do the music, and if somebody relates to it, then cool. If somebody doesn't, somebody eventually will. So I try to make as much material that's different so that somebody will understand it, vibe to it or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the new perspective, new professional side of that name. More than anything, the reason I came up with that name was because I wanted to release my first single ever on all platforms, and I needed it to be before 2020, because in 2019 you wouldn't hear the word teen, and there is, as funny as that sounds, you won't hear teen moving forward. It's 2020, 2021, 30, 40, 50, 60. So I wanted to have at least one song out there before that was done. So I released Perfect World, and yeah, I mean that's I came up with that name, Gilbert Soul, because one day I was on the phone with an alarm company. They kind of like were charging me a lot of money for something really stupid, and so I got a little upset with them. I wasn't like being what's the word, like verbally abusive or anything like that, but I was letting them know that I thought that what they were doing was unfair and whatnot. And then the guy was like, Mr. Galaviz and this and that, and then I could hear the people in the background, like the coworkers, laughing, and I'm like, are y'all laughing at me? Like this, why are y'all laughing at me? And then he kind of like stops, and you can hear that he wants to laugh, and he's like, Mr. Galaviz, we're not laughing, sir. So luckily I actually had this recorded where he says Mr. Galaviz, and I used that as a sample for one of my songs. So eventually that song will come out. I don't know when, but it's like a real like funny type of song, and you'll hear him say like Mr. Galaviz, and then you'll hear the background laughing where the girls are laughing. And so then I was actually gonna go as Mr. Galaviz, but then I was like, you know what? I don't know. That sounds a little too professional. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like nobody will want
Mr.
to.
Galaviz was your father.
Yeah, Mr. Galaviz is my dad. Yeah. So so I didn't go with that name. So then I started thinking, well, what can I do where it's more personal to me, and like I was beating my head up for it, and finally I'm like, Gilbert. Okay, I'll just use Gilbert. I'll use Gilbert. And I'm like, but what is Gilbert? Like, and then I started thinking, well, what's my main goal here? So I started thinking, like, why do I make music? And I went through this like whole like this existential thing or whatever, like life or whatever. So I decided that I would go with soul, Gilbert's soul, because whenever I'm making music, I'm creating, implementing, recording, finalizing a piece of my soul, so that whenever it's God's, it's God's decision to take me away from this life, I'm leaving pieces of Gilbert's soul in my music, and then people will listen to it. And yeah, that's how Gilbert's Soul came up.
Well, with Gilbert's Soul, you just had an EP come out. That's Manifesting?
Manifesting, yes.
All right. What's that about?
That one is it's 6 songs. Right, it has 2 features on it. It has Rhonda Yolene and it has Dre Type, which I want to shout them out. They're incredible artists, and I enjoy working with them so much that I just want to keep creating with them. But unfortunately, time and stuff like that, it's never in our best interest. So whenever we do get the opportunity to work, it's amazing. Manifesting, however, I started with the song Altitude, and I said to myself, originally it was gonna be named Altitude, the EP. But as time went on, I was like, no, this seems like too simple. I want to change it to something else. I'm gonna change it to Manifesting, because I want to have people see that I'm a little more serious with my music now. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but funny thing about it is that, well, not funny, crazy thing about it is that I made this album prior to a relationship of mine reaching its conclusion, And in the album itself, the EP itself, it's talking about heartbreak in a way. Um, and so it's almost as if I foreshadowed what was gonna happen. So there's this song called "Who Are You" on there. It's called "Who Are You," and it's featuring Rondo Yolene. And in the song, I wrote the song before the relationship reached its conclusion. And if you listen to it, it's just almost like, what the heck, like it literally happened to me. Like the relationship is over, and then you're hearing the song. It's like, what? It's almost like if I was psychic or something.
Yeah.
So I'm not psychic or anything like that, but it's just, it was weird.
So after manifesting, you have albums already planned. What are those expected to be like now that you've done manifesting and you've gone through certain parts and certain experiences in your life now? What are those two albums going to be like?
So this next album that's gonna be about heartbreak. I'm aiming for it to be put out in May. We're in April right now, so next month. I'm already finished with it. I just need to have very minor things to be tinkered with. Shout out to David Yera. He's my engineer on that album. He was the engineer behind the Manifesting EP as well. He and I, we have like really good work ethic. Also work with Bruce Bang, which is going to be the engineer for the 4th album that's coming out this year as well in November. And shout out to Jason. He's the one that made the engineering behind the first album, Something in Store. And Izzy, DJ Izzy Ill is the one who engineered Coffee Break.
I'm a fan of Coffee Break.
You're a fan of Coffee Break. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So this next album that comes out in May, I'm gonna name it Spindletop. Originally, I was gonna name it for my number 1 fan. And then I had a friend of mine. He's like, "You should name it number 1 fan," with the like little pound sign. Shout out to Alex, that boy Alex. And then I was like, "Oh, that's a pretty good idea." And then I showed it to my other friend, Effect. Shout out to Effect. I showed him the album cover because I make my graphic designs. So I showed him the album cover for that one. He's like, "Where's that place?" I'm like, "It's the place where I asked my ex to marry me, and it's the Spindletop." And then he's like, "Why don't you just name it Spindletop?" And at first, I was like, "That's a really good idea." And I had like already thought about it. Like I was like, "Oh, that's the Spindletop." It would be cool if I name it Spindletop or whatnot. But I left it to the side because I was so focused on naming it for my number 1 fan. Like that's what I had in stone. But in the back of my mind, Spindletop was there. But whenever he mentioned it, I was like, I should name it Spindletop. So shout out to Effect. It's gonna be called Spindletop, and it's gonna be compiled of 9 songs. My ex and I were together for 9 years, so that's why it's gonna be 9 songs. The first song's not even a song though; it's just me talking.
So you bring up the cover art. Every album the cover art is your own art from your own mind yet again. So how does each album's cover art relate to the songs on it? Is it representative of a story that follows in suit with each other, or are they just representative of what the album's about?
Yes. To answer your question, yes, it does have to do with the concept, because I like concept. I like concept albums, and I know in today's age, not a lot of people really listen to albums. They're more into singles. They'll listen to singles for days because the radio and stuff like that. So it doesn't work in my best interest for me to put out a whole album, because not a lot of people are going to listen to it, and if I put out single by single, I have a better chance of being heard more. But in reality, what I want from people is for them to listen from start to ending, because I'm making sure that the transitions, for one, are all mixing with each other, from the beginning to the end. And I think I'm getting a little bit better on that aspect of it, because the first album, the 9th track and the 10th track do not make any sense, because it's like a really hip hop vibe, and then it goes to a really like slow, mellow type of vibe. And so it didn't make sense, but I was just trying to get that album out. It was really rushed. So my apologies to Jason for doing that. I Dream in Stereo is his IG. DJ, I don't know why I want to say DJ, but DJ Izzy_ill is the mind behind, the engineer behind Coffee Break. We have David Yera 7, the engineer behind Manifesting and the Spindletop album. And then I mix I mix Bruce Bang is the engineer behind the fourth album for Rely on Venice is what it's gonna be called.
Okay. So each of these albums is, like we were saying, each album cover represents the story of that album itself. It's a concept. These concepts are based on experience that you've had. So not all of them are happy. How do you deal with the mental struggles that come with creating your art around the struggles that you dealt with in real life?
I music is very therapeutic for me, and I feel that the art is as well. So putting all of my emotions into the music and the artwork, it just helps me kind of cope with the feelings, with the waves of emotions and whatnot. So that's one way that I deal with that, and I've also taken therapy as well, so that's helped out a whole lot. So I'm really thankful for my therapist and for the people that recommended for me to take therapy. It's something that I really do think people should do if they have the opportunity to, and even if they don't, they should seek it just so that they can kind of get a better understanding of where they are mentally. If anything, it'll just probably help them, motivate them in reaching a goal that they have been backing away from because they're scared of what might happen, you know. So maybe if they take therapy, they'll open up more, get out of that shell, and just, you know, implement the work and get their goals, you know, reached. Because whenever you reach your goal and you were like backing away from it, and whenever you do it and it's done, the feeling of like fulfillment is like so powerful, you know. And it all depends on how you use that power. Whenever you do have it, you can use it for good or for bad. You can use it to motivate others, or you can use it to be a dick about it and just motivate yourself and not worry about helping others. So,
Especially in the hip hop world.
especially in the hip hop world. No offense to artists, because I know that you have to be like, you have to be about yourself when it's like hip hop, and I completely understand that, because like you have to be the best, you know. And there's these other artists that I listen to, these rappers that I listen to, and I'm like amazed at how incredible their lyricism is. You know, they have bar after bar. I'm like, wow, like I can't do that. Like that's so cool, you know, that they can do that stuff. And part of it I feel is because they have so much love, and like they feel like they have the power to create this kind of material, and they know for a fact that it's better than others. Is what makes it like come out the way that it does. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, so you're talking about these people who are taking the confidence they have in themselves, and you were just talking about therapy and kind of learning to be confident in yourself and breaking out of your shell and moving forward. What are ways that Gilbert's soul stays inspired to move forward?
As of lately, these two albums that I'm working on, it's what my main focus has been on, because I kid you not, the fourth album has been in the works since 2016. So that's a very, very long time that I've been holding on to. Actually, I've shown you some of these songs, and there's one song in particular. It's called Parents, and I showed it to you, and you mentioned that you felt that it would be cool if I added a third verse to it, which I did.
Oh.
So thank you for that. Shout out to the bear. And I even made it in Spanish, so it's translated, mainly because my parents, they understand English, but when I'm like rapping or whatever, it's like really difficult for them to understand what I'm saying. So I just translated the whole song for them to listen to it. I didn't, however, add a third verse, but I just wanted to make it simple, you know, like they know where my heart is, stuff like that.
And this is on the Rely on Realness
Yes,
album.
that's gonna be on the Rely on Realness album. Yes.
Okay, so this album's Rely on Realness. And again, we were just talking about kind of the common concepts you find in a lot of hip-hop artists. You're talking about relying on realness and being real and what matters. Like you have the song titled Parents. What do you think that if you were to choose one moment from your life to say that's when you decided to fight against the current and you decided to, I'm going to put my chin up and I'm going to be me, what moment would you take from your life that describes that?
I think it's I don't have a moment in specific that I can think of at the top of my head, but I think it deals a lot with me not really going out to perform as much as I should. And I will say this, I performed this past weekend on Saturday. Shout out to Wood James and the crew. Shout out to Manolo Young. Shout out to Thomas. Shout out to Fig. Shout out to Marvin. Um, if I'm forgetting any other names, please forgive me. You know that I know you, but I performed that night, and I actually performed 2 songs from the Rely on Realness album and 2 songs from the Heartbreak album is what I closed with. But being up there, I really thought that I was gonna feel nervous and like mess up and worry about like, oh man, what if they don't like it and stuff like that, which is the norm for me whenever I am performing. However, that night felt really different for me. I don't know what it was. I don't know if I guess it's like I guess I'm a little more confident in my work, and not so focused on messing up. Because another thing too, I've heard this so much, like you have to mess up in order to like be better at what you do. So I don't want to beat myself over messing up when I do mess up. Like just learn from it, keep going. So whenever I did perform the first song, I didn't mess up. Maybe on one word. I forgot what I said. But the entire performance for me, I felt like I did pretty good. And I did notice that people were like on spread out throughout the whole venue. They were spread out on towards that direction to the right of me. And as soon as I started rapping, like within the end of the first verse, like they all started kind of like gathering and sitting down. And me being the way that I am, my mind will like start thinking like, holy crap, like they're coming over here, they're sitting down, they're paying attention. And then I start thinking that, and I'm drift away from what I'm supposed to be doing, which is performing, like making the words come out of my mouth, the right ones at least. So at that moment in time, I kind of clicked, and I'm like, nope, don't focus on that. Come on, keep going. So I was rapping, whatever, and then I finished the song, and I was like really happy about it. I even said it. I think I said, I was like, wow, I'm glad I didn't mess up. I was just being myself up there.
Yeah.
And shout out to everybody that attended that night, because they were really cool. They were like no judging whatsoever. They were like open to listen. They were cool. So I guess that helped out a lot. Other venues, when it's like, okay, you only have such and such time, this is how much you have to perform, it feels a little more stressful, like under pressure. So I guess I don't work well under pressure, but I have to put myself in that position as well so that I can be able to work under pressure. But I guess that's the moment where I started realizing, you know what, I need to start performing more. So yeah.
Okay. Well,
and I want to say I'm sorry to you too, because I don't know if I think I'm drifting away from the questions, because
okay.
I don't know, like I forget the questions.
Back nicely.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, so talking about performing in front of big crowds, and there's that kind of energy that comes with that, and then you get even bigger crowds the bigger that you get. So the end goal, is it fame? Is the end goal with Gilbert's Soul to be a big famous musician, or is it not? And if not, or even if it is, what's your take on what fame means or even is?
It's a really good question. That's all the questions are really good. I feel that fame has never really been in my peripheral. I know that it takes fame for people to know who you are, which is the sucky part. But there's this group called Slipknot. I don't know if I said that correctly.
Yeah, you did.
So they wear masks, right? And so they're like performing, and I see them, and they're the artist who passed away, MF Doom. He would wear a mask. Yeah. So like I see them, and I'm like, man, that's so cool. Like I wish I could do that. But at the same time, I'm like, if I don't show my face, people won't know who I am, or like it's gonna be it's already difficult as it is for people to even go listen to my music, search it and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I'm like this about it. The reason behind why I prefer making my artwork and not putting my face on it is because I'd rather the art aspect speak for itself. I don't want my face on it, because my face, it's whatever, like it's my music that I really care for. At the end of the day, like if fame reaches me, it's a scary thing for me, because I don't know what it's gonna bring. It's real difficult as is where I'm at in life to feel like I can have genuine relationships with people. Like I feel like you and I, we have a really cool relationship. Like we didn't really talk too much in high school, but like we clicked after high school, and like look at us, we're having a freaking interview. Like that's so cool. Like it's those kind of relationships that are cherishable, you know. And I feel that at one point, like if fame hits me, I don't know how genuine people are going to be. I don't know if they're going to be like, oh, Gilbert, this and that, and just to tell me things to make me feel good about myself. So I really, I don't care about fame. What I care is about mutual respect and genuineness.
Gotta rely on realness.
Rely on realness. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like you're saying, with you don't use your face for the cover art. Would you say that that's all because this is all Gilbert's soul, and it's not about your face or being famous? It's all about who you are and what you mean to yourself. So you use your art because that's what Gilbert's soul is.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, that's a pretty good way to put it. Can I use that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So if fame isn't necessarily the end goal, if it's not even really something that you're after necessarily, you have to get your music out there. Do followers on social media, how much does that matter in terms of, do you really go after a bigger number of followers so that your music is getting heard?
Yes and no. There are going to be people out there that don't even have Instagram, you know, so it's really hard for me to be like, hey, do you have Instagram? Like, go follow me. And they'll be like, no, I don't have Instagram or Facebook or any kind of social media. What I'll just let them know, I actually made a card, a business card. And I after the performance, I started handing them out, and I'm like, it's really difficult for me to come up to, I've always came up to people and be like, hey, could you go listen to my music? I didn't even have a business card. I make music, and they'll just be like, oh, okay. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, they're going to forget. They have other things to do. They have to drive home. They have like a grocery list to get to, or whatever the case might be. So now I made it where I just go up to them and I say, my name's Gilbert, so I make music. If you could go, please listen to it. And they'll say, oh yeah, sure. Will they listen to it? I don't know. But if they don't, maybe somebody will whenever they see the card or something. I feel that little by little, like eventually I'll get fans that are gonna be about Gilbert's soul, you know, not me, like, but about the music.
Yeah.
And that's what my end goal is, like, to have people that are gonna vibe with the music and like the music. And of course I would like to live off of doing what I do, because it's like Heath Ledger said in The Dark Knight, if you're good at something, never do it for free. So
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm pretty good at what I do. I mean, I'm not the best. There's other artists out there that are really, really good that I enjoy listening to. And so,
Well, talking about other artists, and you've had quite a slew of shout outs so far. Who are some artists that you would like to work with? Maybe some that you haven't worked with yet, or more that you'd like to work with again?
okay, so I have so many of them, and I wish I had my phone with me, but we're using it to record this video. But off the top of my head, and it's gonna be Dende. Dende is like a really, really cool artist that I listen to, and his album's called A Happy Man. His most recent album is called A Happy Man, and then he created this EP that's called the Pregnancy Pack, and it's exactly that. So it's something that you'll listen to, and it's like you'll vibe with it with your soulmate, and just whatever happens, you know. But he's real cool. He's cool people, and I've gotten the chance to meet him 3 times now. The first time was to buy some tickets from him, and I was so freaking nervous meeting him. And I even told him, dude, I'm nervous. He's like, why are you nervous? I'm like, because like I like your music. He's like, nah, don't be nervous. I'm like, okay, cool. So I was so nervous that I even bought like an album that they were selling there at the store, because he worked at some like smoothie place, and they have like albums on the side that you can buy.
Yeah.
So I was just like looking for something to do, so I just grabbed the first album that I saw, and I was like, can I buy this? And then he's like charging me for it. I'm like, yeah, I'm here for the tickets. He's like, oh, that's you? I'm like, yeah. I'm so awkward. And so yeah, that's an artist that I really want to work with. Him, Uncle Tino, shout out to Uncle Tino. He has like amazing like vibes. He does like the little box thingy where you put like the tube in your mouth.
Melodica?
I don't know. It's like a little piano, and you put the tube in your mouth, and you're like, meow, 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 like
I
California.
think it's the Melodica.
That's what it. Maybe that's what it's called.
So. I know
Something
what you
box. I don't know. It's something. I know it's something box.
Okay.
Well, I want to work with him. He's real cool people too. Lily Aviana. I want to work with Lily Aviana. I've been wanting to work with Lily for a long time. I would love to work with Rhonda again. So many times. So
Now I have California Love stuck in my head. So
sponsor us,
Sorry.
California.
So yeah, these are all artists that you'd like to work with or have worked with.
To name a few.
And yeah, oh yeah. And so you've established a relationship with them. Is there an artist that you would say you could learn the most from?
Honestly, I have a lot of favorite artists, right? But I'm a believer in God, and I feel that God is the biggest artist that there is that I could possibly, like have inspiration from, because He created this world, even though it has its like downsides to it. I think that's our fault as humans. But He's given us this beautiful world to live in, and you look up at the skies and they're always different shaped clouds, and it's just amazing, to be alive for one.
Yeah.
And then so I would say that's my main inspiration, my main artist inspiration, because without him I wouldn't have the skills to begin with. So
It's a pretty grand artist to choose from. So,
God, if you're hearing this,
so with that, putting on such a, like I said, I think grand is a good word for it, a grand tone and perspective of things. When all is said and done, the story, the saga of Gilbert's Soul and what Gilbert's Soul is and means to the world, what do you want it to mean for people when you're gone and you're not there to explain it, to translate the story of what your albums are supposed to be and mean? What do you want it to mean to people 200 years from now? Who knows?
golly, wow, like I guess to be yourself and to not lose yourself. Because you could be yourself so much that at some point you're just gonna lose yourself and then be somebody that you don't want to be. You're gonna be like this person that people have made you to be. But I think that overall the experiences that we experience mold us, right? But we shouldn't let that dictate what kind of person we can become in a bad way. I think we should use that experience to be our better selves for others, because I think we're all in this together. And like, if nobody gets to listen to my music, I just hope that whomever does listen to it gives them inspiration to do something that they love to do, and perhaps even do an even a more amazing job at what they're gonna do in their field, and like make a change in the world for the better. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to like make it too serious or whatnot, but have fun. For sure, have fun with it. Enjoy the process, because I, like on my drive over here, I was thinking like, man, like I remember in the beginning, in the very first album, I was like so eager to like have this album out. Like I have to have it out. All these other artists have their music out. Like some of my friends have music out, and I looking back at it, I'm like, I shouldn't be thinking that way. I should feel like honored, and I am honored that I know these people that have their albums out, and which I listen to. Oh, Eccentric. Oh, I love Together in Death. Oh my gosh, I can listen to that album every single day.
It's very good.
It's so good.
Very impressive.
It's so good. And it's new work that's coming out. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Like we were in the studio, we were like, dude, we were jamming, we were bouncing up, having fun, enjoy the moment, So, shout out to Serpas, shout out to Escobar. They took me under their wing in high school, and they really opened me up to like Baron Studios and iMix Studios with Bruce Bang, and that kind of made me get my feet wet and go into the more professional side of music, and actually fund myself to get these projects professionally done, because that was always a big thing for me too. I always wanted people to listen to my music, but I wanted them to hear the finalized version of it, not the mediocre one where it's like they won't.
Draft.
Yeah, the rough draft basically. I have so many of those. But yeah, what I want people to take from Gilbert's Soul is use it as inspiration to be your best self and have fun while in the process of completing a goal that you set on the side that you're now in the midst of achieving. And then whenever you finalize it, pat yourself in the back and say, what's next?
There you go. So, just one last part then. One last question. Because you said that you want one of the pieces of your music, or one of the meanings of your music for other people to be, is to make a change in the world. What changes is your music making right now in the world?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew.
What change do you want it to make for someone, say, who needs to hear the music, what do you want it to do for them? Just changing one person's world is changing a world.
Yeah. To try to have more patience with people in general, and yourself. You have to have a lot of patience with yourself. Like loving yourself. You have to love yourself before you love anybody else. Same goes with patience. You have to have so much patience with yourself so that you can have patience with others. Try to be like okay with who you are, and like don't beat yourself over it, so that whenever it comes time for you to meet somebody or something like that, or it could be a friend or whomever, you will treat them as you want to be treated. So I guess in that aspect, because I feel there's a lot of like, as of lately, there's a lot of like bullying, and there's like people recording people getting beat up instead of like going up there and like, hey, like what are you doing, like stop, like this is not cool. But obviously I'm gonna get like a lot of talk and trash talk about this, because there's gonna be people like, nah, like I like stuff like that, which is cool, but there's a professional aspect to it. Like you guys do podcasts for MMA fighters, you know, like that's professionalism, you know, like there's got to be a professional side to everything. If you're going to school and you're recording these kids getting hit or whatever, like what's so cool about that? World Star, yeah, this is my favorite channel. That defeats the purpose. But no, just I mean like loving your peers. Try not to feel like if you act soft or something like that, that you're gonna be judged. Like if you're gonna be judged, then be judged. Like you're in a different level now, where you are okay with being not a soft person. Like you're just okay with your emotions. You're in tune with what your purpose is in life. You know, like respecting people. Like so. Pretty much that.
All right. You want to give us a sign off?
I don't have a pen with me.
No, like, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, Zach, I really want to thank you, man, for doing this. This was like a really cool experience for me. I'm humbled that you were the first person to interview me. I want to thank you for bringing me on here the very first time for your podcast with oh my gosh, drawing a blank. Hobera. Yeah, Walter. And so, yeah, man, thank you for that opportunity, and you're doing an amazing job with what you do, and I've seen the growth, and just keep on going, dude. Like I can't wait to see, you know, how much more progression you and Dev make. But yeah, so May, my Heartbreak album comes out. It's called Spindletop. And on November, my 4th album comes out. It's called Rely on Realness, if y'all want to go check that out. And I want to end the note with I'm going to be starting a 5th album, which was supposed to be the very first album. Instead of Something in Store, it was going to be Just in Case It's Over. So I'm changing the name though because of manifesting.
You told me about that a long time ago. Yeah.
So instead of it being called Just in Case It's Over, because I'm done manifesting words and then them becoming like reality, I'm gonna say Just in Case It Was Over. And I have Eccentric on that one. I actually have Eccentric on this Heartbreak album. Oh, shout out to Billy Blunt. Oh my gosh, he did an amazing work with the guitar, the shredding. And I have Kiara Elise. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. I don't know if it's Kiara Elise or Kiara Elise. I haven't met her in person. It was all through Instagram. So my apologies if I said her name incorrectly. But she did an amazing job in one of the songs that's in the Heartbreak album. And yeah, I'm just excited for people to listen to it. And overall, my main goal for that album is to help somebody that's going through a rough patch in their life and let them know that they are not alone, and for them to reach out to somebody if they have anyone. If they don't have anyone, to just, you know, get in contact with somebody close, that just open up to anyone, and somebody is bound to listen to you. You'd be surprised how many good humans there are, and you being one of them. So yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming here. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Thank you. I'll do it again tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah,
Okay.
tomorrow. Yeah.
All right.
All right, man. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate it, dude. Good stuff. All right. Now the real Gilbert comes out. Forget all these people. It's not recording.
Joking.
No, yeah, I'm joking.
Either way, you'd have a bigger reaction.